once you release it. Well, you got total control of it.
All right. Ralph. That's where I'm getting it from. Let's try. All right, look at Ralph. Ralph gets a raise. Good evening, everyone. I would like to welcome you all to our Community Redevelopment Agency hybrid regular meeting. Today is Tuesday, April the 12th. It is 5:31 p.m. Call the roll, please.
Chair James.
Here.
Vice Chair Salvino. Here. Board Member Davis.
Say here, Michael.
Board Member Llewellyn. Board Member Odman. CRA Director Chen.
No one's
here. City Attorney Bootzes.
Here. All right. First, we'll have citizens' comments. I don't see the citizens in the audience, but I'm going to see if I see them online. Gigi Stetler. If you are online, if you can raise your hand if you wish to speak. And Jamie Friend. I don't see any that are online, so I'll save these for the commission meeting. And next we have our administrative reports.
Thank you, Chair James, and good evening, CRA Board. I want to start this to kind of put everybody on notice that the CRA is really engaged in a lot of activities these days. And I want to make sure that we are actually actively soliciting everybody's input and contact. So with that, I'd like to give you my direct phone number. It is 954-6801, extension 3732. Please make sure to reach out to me if you've got questions or if you just want to know what's going on. We're very anxious to make sure we're engaged with our public.
Can you repeat it? You said 954-6-01. You got the first three.
954-6801, extension 3732.
But the 954 is the area code, correct?
There's a typo.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to follow.
Sorry. So it is area code 954-924. Thank you. 6801, extension 3732. I didn't want my offer to be taken as disingenuous with a wrong phone number. Thank you for the correction. With that, just to let everybody know that we did complete the CRA annual report for fiscal year 2021. It was within the deadline of state statutes. And I have placed the hard copies of in each of the the board members' mailboxes. They will also be distributed to the county, and we will use these for this year. We plan to use these as marketing tools for the CRA because tried to be a bit more extensive to really let people know what's going on in the CRA. And it's something that I think will be good for us to be distributing as we meet people and companies that are interested in our city. As to the innovation ecosystem that is underway here, we actually have something that is a big piece of this discussion tonight. But the interim piece for right now is that we are scheduled for another Dania Beach Business Academy class. It's going to run for the 4 Wednesdays of May, May 4th, May 11th, May 18th, and May 25th. This is a rerun of the Passions to Profits program, which was very popular and successful, and we've had a number of requests for a repeat on this. So that will be repeated in May. This past weekend, we had our first, I guess, restart of Rebuilding Together, the rehab event. This occurred in the 200 block of Northwest 12th Court or 11th Avenue. And they actually picked 2 houses to work on. The Broward County and Palm Beach County Board of Realtors had 65 volunteers on site. And it was a really amazing event to watch. And I can recommend, I'll keep you posted for the next event. I'm sure you'll want to come out and see for yourselves because it's really amazing what they do. The restart of the Dania Beach Arts and Seafood Celebration, I have to admit, this was my first one, but I was impressed beyond any expectation. I thought it was a highly successful event. And even the weather cooperated with us. There was threats for both Saturday and Sunday, and yet we managed to endure all the way to the end of our timelines, both Saturday and Sunday. I will get specific numbers and convey them to you, but by my guesstimates, I would say on Saturday, we probably had upwards of 5,000 people. at the event. And on Sunday, I think it was better attended, maybe closer to 6,000. And everybody I've heard has been complimenting on the experience they had. The music was great. Everything about it was great. And with this, I have to give call out recognition to Kathleen Weeks. Kathleen was really the person that carried this event off almost single-handedly. And she did a marvelous job. Dania After Dark, we had our last event just this past weekend. And it was a well-attended event as well. It seemed that everybody enjoyed themselves. It seems like we're getting more and more food trucks that are trying to come. I think this time we had closer to a dozen. But the entertainment was nice, and the weather was just absolutely perfect for an evening event in Dania Beach. Excuse me. Just a quick mention about the Smith Store properties. I've been keeping you updated. There is an outstanding RFP on that. It will be closed on April the 18th, which means next month I'll bring you the results of our out. Oh, okay. Thank you. Back on air. Thank you. We actually have about 6 active applications for the commercial facade improvement grant that's underway. Bill is working with the people to make sure that their applications are complete and correct. As I've mentioned to you before, our objective in the CRA is once we get a completed application, we really want to process it quickly so that from our receipt to our ability to write an award letter is 30 days. So as soon as we get that, we'll put it on your agenda so that you'll have your opportunity to look at what we're receiving. We've also started an initiative where our business manager is going out to do what we call Bravo visits with our local businesses and property owners. The idea is to actually get a firsthand relationship with our businesses going on, as well as to understand what challenges and what issues are out there in our community that our businesses are facing. This also will contribute to our database as we meet with the actual property owners. We'll hear about vacant space they have and so forth, and be able to keep this in our mind as we talk to people who are looking for space in our city. And then the last piece is the CRA plan update. That initiative is continuing on. It really is in the stage now where they are just reviewing the base data so that they have a clear understanding as to where the city is today, so that they have the foundation on where to set their planning for the future. And with that, I did want to mention, part of their first task is to talk with the CRA board. So at this time, I would like to open up for discussion the setting up a CRA workshop. And I think it could work as a dual purpose. One would be for us to talk about your interest and priorities for the upcoming CRA plan, as well as the upcoming future of the CRA. But it also gives a chance to talk about some of the budget issues so that we can get a jump start on working on our budget with the city. So I would like to suggest sometime yet before the end of the month of April, if it's feasible with your schedules. if it's possible for your schedules, it would be great for before the end of April.
So do we want to look at the last week of April? Is that what you all are looking at? Okay.
Daytime or evening time, it's really at your preference and availability. The consultant will make himself available to your schedule. So whatever works for you guys.
Do we want to start with Monday and just work our way down? Are we able to all talk at, like, have it so we can all, for casual conversation, talk at once? I guess I'm asking you. No, okay.
Mayor, if I could, Wednesday, the 20th is planning and zoning that night, just so you know that.
Oh, wait, there it goes. Okay, now I'm on. Thank you. So we have a regular commission meeting the night of the 26th. Would it be something that we could do maybe like, I don't know, at 4 o'clock and then take a little break between that and the commission meeting? I said we have a commission meeting on the 26th at 7. So maybe we could do it at say like 4 or 4:30, and then we could just take a break in between that and the commission meeting.
We'll start at 4:30 that day.
Fine, me.
That would be great if it works for you, all of you. Thank you very much. 4:30, April 26th. I will send some meeting notices around for your calendars and work with Tom to set up on the schedule. Thank you very much. I want to close my admin report with an observation. With the updates that I provided you tonight, as well as the updates that you receive from me every month, I would like to point out that we have now restarted and are continuing every program that the CRA was actively engaged with prior to the COVID shutdown. So you are back in full speed for CRA activities now. And with that, that is the end of my report.
Thank you. Next, we'll have a presentation from Dr. J. Chris Ford, FIU, Mission to Market, which I know is now different.
Yes.
IP to Market. Good evening.
Good evening. As your Mike and team is working on loading up the slides, thank you for having me this evening. Good to see you all in person. First, can you hear me okay? Everyone? Good to see you all in person. I think last time was all virtual. Mike and Gwen, my one was I actually have seen in person. Good to see everyone. All right, so well, again, thank you for having me this evening. Just a quick, about 10, 15 minutes of your time. So I wanted to highlight, we have an MOU and we've recently completed an MOA. I want to take this time to talk about our MOU, in particular, how we are advancing with our IP to Market Incubator program. Now we're lockstep and hip with your CRA. So one kind of notice, we changed the name to IP to Market. Ironically, we are in intellectual property and we found a trademark violation with Mission to Market. I thought that was pretty funny. So since we signed our MOU, we actually have won an EDA award, Economic Development Agency grant, which gives us opportunity to expand our activities. And for our new IP to Market initiative, we want to actually formally have our physical virtual home, so to speak, be with our partnership with Dania Beach CRA. So next slide, please. All right, so the IP to Market program, and I always start with this slide, as mentioned before, IP to Market is all about bringing intellectual properties to South Florida businesses to help them be a part of the innovation economy. You just economy, not comedy. You recently saw a little bit south of us the unveiling of the digital Wall Street bull that is in Miami Beach. And our mayor Suarez south of us says, bet on South Florida being a tech hub specifically for blockchain. Well, unbeknownst to Mayor Suarez and folks who may have seen it on television is that there is a great bevy of intellectual property that goes into blockchain type technology, and it's believed that trillions of dollars have come into South Florida over the past 2 years simply by proclamation they want South Florida to be this Bitcoin or blockchain technology hub. Well, if we use that as a use case, we can expand that to other technology areas. So I start with patents. If you look at our economy in the last 40 plus years, our economy has become a knowledge economy. And you look at it as measured by stock market. Just the most recent data taken in 2020, 90% of the value of our stock market in terms of publicly traded companies is from intangible assets. That's patents, know-how, trademark, et cetera. Go back in the 1970s, matter of fact, around 1975, when we decentralized or decoupled our dollar from gold by President Nixon, you saw that the value was based upon a very old economic model. If you have machinery, things, you can make economy. So that was 75% of our value back in 1975. Now, fast forward to today, it's all about ones and zeros, knowledge. So what hasn't happened is underserved communities, minority businesses, women-owned companies, communities like South Florida, which hasn't been a part of technological change, are not participating in the translation of those patents into the private sector. And so, next slide, please. So part of the strategy with IP to market is that we want to introduce this technology to said business. So here's some examples. So just to make it really simple. So if you've been keeping up with the war in Ukraine and you've seen those satellite images that show right on the ground, those are from actually a company called Maxar Technologies. That technology was born at a US Department of Energy lab in the 90s. Some scientists spun that technology out of the lab. Now, almost 30 years later, that's a $4 billion company that now we use every day to look at spying on or looking around the world to get digital images. Tesla, which some of you may drive or hope to drive one day, Tesla was able to use a $500 million loan from the US Department of Energy to be able to fund its first manufacturing facility. And then lastly, you may have gotten a DNA test to find out your ancestry or something related to your genetic background. Well, 23andMe received a federal grant to get started. So a lot of stories of some of these everyday companies that you may have been benefited from actually got its start from federal dollars or federal intellectual property. So what hasn't happened, go to the next slide, please, is South Florida really has not had a penetration of whether it's intellectual property or federal dollars from the standpoint of translational research and development to help mature companies. Go to the next slide, please. What is missing, a recent study in 2013 said despite the concentration of wealthy folks, universities, relatively speaking, South Florida is behind on innovation grants and intellectual property that are filed. Can we get to the next slide? There we go. I think we skipped 2 slides, but that's okay, we'll start here. So what we want to do with IP to market is increase the what we call STEM entrepreneurial talent. So you hear folks talking about STEM education. STEM is great. I'm proponent at 4 STEM degrees. What I want to see is more STEM entrepreneurs. There's a lot of entrepreneurs. Florida is actually one or two or number 3 in the country in terms of minority business ownership, especially Black business ownership, but it's lagging behind in STEM business. So we want to actually get more minority businesses, women-owned companies into STEM entrepreneurial opportunities. We also want to build the innovation and capital ecosystem. One of the problems in South Florida, despite there being lots of high net worth individuals and lots of capital down here, entrepreneurs find trouble with getting some of those early dollars, that first $5 million or so to help commercialize their venture. So part of IP to market is to help you with that. So we're going to talk about a little bit more today. We're going to do an incubator program to actually teach entrepreneurs actually how to do this process, not just tell you about these things, but actually hand walk you through a very unique incubator program. And then lastly, we have a very successful tech transfer and SBIR. SBIR is a small business innovation research grant. a $3 billion per year grant program funded by the federal government. 23andMe, which I mentioned before, was an SBIR awardee. At FIU, we have an explicit focus to help minority businesses here in South Florida get more SBIR grants. Just in the past year, we've more than doubled our success rate as a university, largely to IP to Market initiative. So we are here to help South Florida businesses really grow in their innovation economy participation. Next slide, please. So I'll get to the bottom line. This is our process. So we're trying to create a machinery of commercialization. So we want in the next 3 to 5 years, part of our IP to Market initiative is to incubate 50 companies. 50 companies, what we would call on the unicorn status. You may have heard, if you ever watch some of the tech business news, you hear a unicorn. Those are companies who are on track to be worth approximately $1 billion. So what that means is we have to start at very early stages, meaning when they're at the ideation, monetization, early monetization phase, we want to introduce to them this IP to Market strategy. And doing so, give them some of the best practices. So one as an example, why is SBIR important? It's been studied. You're 15 times more likely to get venture capital if you win an SBIR award. So if South Florida is low on early stage venture capital, if it's slow on high tech ventures, one simple way is to get federal grants and SBIR applications. You will see a tremendous, there's no greater indicator for future economic growth than SBIR award. So we've had a great success track record with that. And for a partnership here, the CRA, with Mike Chen's leadership, we're planning to grow that out much more. Next slide, please. So this is one graphic to show what we mean. So as an example, I just showed just the Department of Energy, where I spend a lot of time working there, both as a researcher and as an administrator. The kind of the secret sauce, get these technologies for literally pennies on the dollar. The average value of a patent coming out of the federal government in terms of R&D dollars expended is like $10 million. And you can get control of those patents for less than, some instances, $1,000, no more than $10,000 per patent per upfront cost. So the objective is to incubate these technologies into the ether here in South Florida. You have access to our faculty who can be research partners for you. You have access to our students who can do some of the early research for you. And then what we want to do is put a community around you with mentors, advisors that will help the businesses that will incubate here in South Florida to grow. And this is the secret sauce of Silicon Valley. Or if you ever go to Boston, you ever go to University of Texas, Austin, in that community, this is what they've done. They marry together federal dollars, federal IP, bring in top talent, incubate that talent, incubate the universities that support that talent. Now you have a machinery. So what's missing is that we need what my bet is 5 unicorns in the next 5 years to augment the whole economy here in the next 20 years. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. I'm going to quickly go through this, but just to give you a snapshot of one federal agency. So there are, just the Department of Energy, there are 17 national labs, 5 sites. These sites produce through 30,000 engineers and scientists, 24, I think last time I checked, almost 25,000 patents that are available. The entire federal government, inclusive of federally funded research done at universities, is 100,000 patents. So if you ever talk to an entrepreneur, they can't think of a tech idea, they'll have at least 100,000 ideas that they may want to take a look at here that are free to look at, pennies on the dollar in terms of expenditures to get control of and use. So what we want to do in South Florida here in IP to Market, we have some areas we're focusing on. So you see in the bottom left-hand corner, health, excuse me, hospitality tech. Dania Beach is a key hospitality hub in terms of transportation, entertainment, et cetera, in terms of some of the assets here. There are some new technologies that have been escalated the need of because of COVID-19. So that's one area you want to focus on. Dual use technology or data cyber, those on the right-hand side in terms of the 2 right project technology areas. That's something that is across the board. We have a lot of military assets here in the state. Blockchain is hot here in South Florida, so that's a really high growth area. And then lastly, energy. And that covers the gamut from batteries, conversion technologies. FIU here in South Florida, we can make a real bastion of success for that. So next slide. Oops.
Next slide, Monica.
One more slide, keep going. All right, so I'm gonna just talk about this and be ready in 30 seconds to click the slide. So here's our support system. So with our new EDA grant, we bringing together our Startup FIU initiative, our Applied Research Center initiative, where's my home, and then our program that's #1 in the country, our hospitality program. We bring our hospitality expertise, our tech expertise, and our startup incubation experts, and that's at your service here for the work we're gonna do together in our MOU. Next slide, please. Okay, so here's what you'll get, and I'll talk about what it means for here in Dania Beach. So we're gonna, 4 things we want our participants who come through our program here to come out of this: a patent monetization plan. I've seen, and I've actually, even in my own private practice, you can take a patent, put together a good team, and go raise capital much faster than you would if you were starting from scratch. So we'll give you a pathway to execute that. We'll give you tools on how you can use our processes and methods to go raise capital, go get those first grants, get those first partners. Early, you'll get partners. One of the things that a lot of tech, especially minority and women-owned companies, lack is technical talent and expertise to go after those grants, to go after those venture capital dollars, et cetera. You get that to be a part of our program. So the objective of the program, and I'm a bottom line person, what is your path to money? So some companies, I've had our first year are doing our program. We had a company go from an idea to revenue in 11 weeks. We've had other folks who went from idea to a government contract and grant within 3 months after the program, a $1.4 million grant program. And others who just go through just some of our workshops, and now actually we're working with them on a phase 2 SBR grant as we speak. So the goal is to get paid. Very simple. Every week in the program, I ask the question every week, or in our facility, I ask the question every week: are you closer to money? And so sometimes, and though this is a tech incubator program, we teach them how to build a business model that will support the technology. A lot of tech folks, and I'm a techie included, sometimes you can make money with your first off-the-shelf idea and then dominate the market with your tech later. So we teach them how to monetize their idea first, and then secondly, defend it with their intellectual property that will help them develop. Next slide, please. I'll quickly talk about this. This is for your record to look at later. But this is it's a 13, 14-week program, and we give them literally every week is a tool. And as an entrepreneur, you need to have tools to be very successful. So it's not a class, it's a workshop. Come in to do work. So we'll give them very specific tools every week. We're proponents of what's called lean entrepreneurial methodology, where it's about reducing to practice as efficient as possible. And so everything is based upon a scientific method. What's your hypothesis for your customer? What's your hypothesis for your product market fit? Go test it, go develop it. And at the end of it, they come out with a game plan, a monetization plan, and then even pre-proposals for funding opportunities. In some instances, some participants are even able to submit applications very soon thereafter. And then also they come away with at least one path to money, whether it's a customer or it's a grant or a contract. We hold them accountable for that as a really clear, tangible goal of that. We end with a demo day. And a demo day is classic for any incubator program, but it's a day where we unveil their work to the community. Our next demo day with Mike's and your blessing will be here in hopefully here in Dania Beach in August. We'll talk about the schedule here on the next slide, but we haven't done an in-person demo day in a couple of years, as we all know why. So we hope to have our annual demo day here, or actually our semi-annual incubator every year here at Dania Beach. Next slide, please. All right, here are a couple of dates. So we're just on board our new funding from EDA, and so we'll be launching our next cohort next month. So we're starting a new program. In roughly about 45 days, we'll have a new fresh crop of about seven or so businesses that will participate. So we hope to do our demo day, which is shown here, roughly late August, last week of August, depending on how we work out schedules. It'll be our first one in person, as mentioned. But the new rhythm will be, and this is really important for Dania Beach, we'll have cohorts 2 times per year, and we'll do 2 demo days per year. And so it really can generate a lot of buzz, can be added to just your whole business academy kind of lineup of activities. And it'll start to, and I'll talk about this on the next few slides, it starts to put a stamp that Dania Beach, which is physically and geographically a really ideal center for the tech hub. And I'll talk about, I think, why it makes a lot of sense. Matter of fact, before I came to FIU, I was in Washington, D.C. and travel around the country looking at ecosystems and where places are really ripe. During my analysis 5 years ago, I saw Dania Beach or South Florida as a really strategic location. There was a lot of buzz about Miami. My personal opinion, the Broward County approach makes a lot of sense for the ecosystem in terms of just proximity. And so there's an opportunity for Dania Beach to start putting staple events out. So now, the first couple of weeks in April and May is now Miami Tech Week. There's an opportunity for Dania Beach to make its own mark. And so we can physically put 2 cohorts in terms of being able to meet here twice a year. We're also able to do some workshops. We've been doing virtual workshops. We have a blank slate to do some of our tech workshops. As an example, last July, and we'll do another one this July coming up, we did a SBIR workshop that was well attended. And we have major partners to help execute that. So we can do this hybrid model that we can really put a step on a physical presence here with Dania Beach. Other thing we're working on under Mike's leadership is something, I've known Mike before he even got here. We have a great relationship. One of the things we talked about even before, now we can execute now, is putting together an industry advisory committee. And that could be the group, should be the group that will help guide businesses and how this Dania Beach partnership really actually tangibly works for the community. And not only the community, but the industry partners that will come here. And so what we're looking to do from a benefits standpoint are some of the work I did prior to coming to South Florida. It's been shown that every time you license a technology from a federally funded resource, it creates 13 jobs. Those jobs pay on average $80,000 per year, and it creates about $5 million per year of indirect economic impact. So if I'm an economic development person and I wanted to have a very efficient way to stimulate economy, it's getting into SBIR and licensing technology and helping the small businesses here really stimulate their growth. And so this is a really great way. And last point I'll make, and I'll be done with questions. I worked in the Obama administration. I advised the Trump administration. I advised the current Biden-Harris administration. And this is the model. The Republicans, Democrats like this model. And what I know personally from what's happening with Build Back Better in this current administration is that this is one of the tools they'd like to invest in terms of stimulating some of the regional economic growth. So this is a magnet type program that gets some of the physical virtual assets needed to help stimulate the economy. So look forward to your feedback. Look forward to working with Mike on this and working with you all to really help Dania Beach be even better.
Thank you. Thank you so much. What is your success rate, you would say, for individuals that start in your program versus being able to go to the cohorts and the unveiling day? What is it called again?
Demo day.
Demo day. So
we have historically had a 95+% success rate, meaning if you start our program, it's 95% likely you will complete the program.
With revenue?
Not with revenue, but I will give you data points. So I would say of the companies that have gone through our program, a third are generating revenue within 3 to 6 months of the program.
Okay.
And I'll give you a picture of what that looks like. There are some who have won SBIR grants. There are some that have gotten government contracts, and some have just got customers. And so,
okay, how does that compare with the demographic that we have here? So the type of individuals that would come through this program, I'm not sure where the other ones were located, if it was like in a college or university at FIU, or if they were in other cities. Because I'm trying to think. I saw the 13 weeks. I want to see how likely it is for minority women, any type of individuals that go through this program. Like, how successful will they be if it's similar?
Great question, and I'm actually attacking a problem. So here's the problem: 1% of tech companies are started by African Americans. 1%. 4% of all venture capital is awarded to women. Roughly 3.7% is awarded to Black or Latin business. We have a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the problems is Black and brown communities teach our Black and brown businesses to start the wrong business.
Okay.
That's the bottom line. I'll give you another data point. During the pandemic, and I worked with some of the federal officials on this, but what's discovered during the pandemic that Black business in particular are oversaturated in non-essential industries.
I can agree.
So here's the real problem I'm attacking. If you look at historical economic impact issues in the Black community explicitly, Black businesses are always pushed to low value industries.
Mm-hmm.
And historically, we haven't built the ecosystem to build up the Black economic model such that all boats rise. I'll give you an example of if you add up all the revenue of every Black business in the country, it would not add up to Facebook or Microsoft.
Of course.
So, but that doesn't mean we don't have the talent. All you need is one unicorn.
Right. So I'm asking if the market is saturated, because I agree with you with the wrong types of businesses. How do you attract individuals to be able to invest in the right type of businesses? How do you get them to your table if everyone wants to do
this is why this is the archetype, and I don't have a slide here, but it's that entrepreneur who's in his garage or her garage, and she's having conversations with people, and they don't understand what she's talking about or he's talking about. And then they'll come to our program and hear we're talking about, and they'll feel finally somebody understands.
Okay.
You'll be surprised. I'll give you an example. We just a company that will be part of one of our other programs. I was on this entrepreneur who successfully raised capital, by the way. And she was just able to tell me about her business. And I was able to understand, not necessarily at the depth she understands it, but to say, oh, I understand blockchain. Oh, I understand how do you build actually a trading desk. And just the relief, a lot of entrepreneurs, and I believe here in South Florida, yeah, probably if you look at the universe of all businesses, we're talking about less than 10%.
Okay.
We have another program, by the way, if I may interject, that is for those who are kind of all over the place and need some coaching. The IP to market is those who want to be exceptional and who feel that they don't have a tribe to support.
Do you think that we should maybe have an information type of tent or something at like Dang at the Dark to kind of spread the word, to get people that may just be out to have a good time, but you may find a unicorn in the crowd, you never know. Do you think that's something that is worthwhile?
It's actually something Dr. Ford and I have discussed. It's one of the charms about Dania Beach that makes us an interesting target for his program. We do have regular events that are ideal spots for hosting the interaction to attract people to this program. Another thing is our Dania Beach Business Academy. It is also the preliminary pipeline to bring people into qualification for this higher level of engagement. And in fact, we've already I think we've had 2 of our graduates from the Dania Beach Business Academy that has explored and gone into their incubator program.
Okay, maybe we can tap into Dania Point and get some like cross promotion or marketing on something that is as important as
It is exactly right.
Commissioner Davis.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, one of my questions was regarding the recruitment, but you said something about having a lack of STEM entrepreneurship. And so I wanted to see if you could give me some examples of those and what that would look like from your perspective.
I'll give you one of my favorite examples. So you'll find a high concentration of minority-owned, Black-owned businesses that do cleaning services. So that's a traditional business. Well, here's what a STEM cleaning service looks like. Instead of you doing a cleaning service, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, you sell a cleaning product that can kill COVID-19, is more biodegradable, more environmentally friendly. Those are an example. You bring a STEM technology to that, and then maybe you still offer the cleaning service, but then maybe you sell to other cleaning companies a formula that you've developed as an example.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you. Talking about the type of businesses that you say that fail or that are not acceptable for growth and so on. And I noticed you said that there was something like cleaning services, and can you name maybe 3 of them type of services that you're talking about? Can you name like 3 services or 3 types of business?
Well, I'll say it. So let's think about, one of the challenges that maybe turn your question invert
Okay,
your question.
you know, it's not real important. I was just looking at, you know, thinking about, you know, I'm in business, okay, and I look at what's out there and the type of businesses that are there, and you know, when you start talking about the people that start their businesses up, sometimes their mindsets are there. You know, sometimes the dollars aren't there.
Yep.
Sometimes their energy levels there, and sometimes they don't get the break. Okay, sometimes it takes a break to get there. I know that in my business, you know, and some of the other businesses that my friends have, so they're hands-on businesses, and you know, when you start talking about technology, this world doesn't work on just technology. It works on, you know, the average person can still create. My business is a bicycle shop. Okay, it's a very successful bicycle shop with many employees. So you're a hands-on business where people could learn a trade. It's a trade. I also own a locksmith business. So that locksmith business, that's another trade. That's a hands-on trade with technology involved, with computer chips and stuff like that in the cars. You know, we also talk about, you know, lawnmower shops where we work on you know, 2-cycle motors and stuff like that. All those businesses would be very successful to a person with the ambition and the knowledge of being trained to do that. But those are hands-on. They're not high technology positions. But I don't know if you present those out there in your program. Where I do know that we talked about in one of our programs with the 12 grants we were giving for the marine industry. And with the marine industry, those grants that we're given there, those are like some of those are hands-on.
Yeah.
And I think that some of the programs that we need to work on to be successful are hands-on programs. And I mean, I'm just seeing what's out there, because in today's world, I can't even hire help. You know, and I'm willing to pay certain things that, you know, more than the average wage to get somebody in there. But these are, if they come in and learn, they can move on and start their own business. You see what I'm saying? But I'm a little.
Well, here's the thing. There's 50 years of studies on how you develop those types of businesses. So it used to be, right, lots of trades have been taken out of schools. When I was in high school, they still had trades. Right. And then you can learn how to self-incorporate. We have a whole other part of our FIU ecosystem that can help with those types of companies.
Okay.
What I'm saying is this: think of SpaceX. All right, if I'm going to build a rocket to go to Mars, I need technicians, I need welders, I need people who can be hands-on. Some of the tech, matter of fact, and we have one that's focused on energy. Matter of fact, I'm an owner of a company that we're building literally concentrated solar power technology that we need welders, we need folks who can be, into your language, hands-on. There are a lot of technologies or businesses that will create those hands-on types of trade skills types of jobs. Matter of fact, part of the Build Back Better strategy is to bring those supply chains and those skill sets back to the United States, as opposed to importing things from overseas. So yes, there's a whole side of tech that is ones and zeros, but there's a whole nother side that requires, matter of fact, there's some HVAC technologies that we have that's available at the Department of Energy that is some software, but will require the HVAC tech. So we could partner with some of the local technical HVAC schools and create more jobs. So there's this, I'm not saying you were saying this, but there's a misnomer that tech does not require the more trade skills. A lot of the tech that's coming online, even if we talk about blockchain requires data centers. Data centers require sophisticated HVAC systems. And so those new technology that's coming require those skill sets. The problem is we haven't built a bridge to connect where the high tech technologies are coming and bring in the skilled labor force and suppliers. There's a whole nother side of this, is how do you define small business supply chains to support these other businesses that bring, because if I'm going to bring my concentrated solar technology here to South Florida, I'm going to need welders. I'm going to need folks who bend metal, folks who understand how to physically put together electronic equipment. So we are not anti-trade skills. Actually, we would create more throughput in small business. As a matter of fact, South Florida has a great manufacturing capability, some of which is located not far here from Daniel Beach. So we're pro those things, but there's a way that we like to incubate companies and work to build that.
Thank you.
Executive Director Chan.
Thank you very much. Chris has got so much on his mind. Excuse me, Dr. Ford has so much on his mind with this. We have had discussions that are probably going on upwards of 3 to 4 years about the components of putting this together. And one of the things that we have discussed, Vice Mayor, was right down your alley. And that was to explore what type of programs are being offered through the Broward Technical Schools that in fact are good entryways into this program for the higher technology side of what they're already learning their skill sets in. So it is very much attached to it.
Thank you. Anyone else? Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you for all your questions.
Next we have the consent agenda. Yes?
Excuse me, I do seek a direction from you. The next piece of this is actually to go out to identify a location for us to house a satellite CRA office that would also be co-tenant with the incubator. And before I went out to explore real estate, I would really like your approval and acknowledgement that I can do so.
Okay, and it'll be fully funded by us, the CRA?
It would be, however, we've had discussions with the city's advisors and so forth as to the opportunity to in some way engage the ARPA funds to assist and support this as well.
Okay, so you said that we could use ARPA funds to pay for this?
I'm saying that I've worked with the Director of Finance and the city's advisors, and we have found a way that ARPA funds can assist to support this.
Oh, hey, Frank, come on. I was looking for you up there. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. What Mike said is correct. We can use ARPA funds indirectly to pay for this.
So it would be like just the startup cost because you couldn't use ARPA funds forever, right?
We technically cannot use ARPA funds directly for this program, but there are other eligible CRA activities that are ongoing that we can divert some ARPA funds toward, like some of the business assistance programs we have. And then that can free up some money in the CRA budget to then shift over to this new initiative.
Okay, are we going to be able to sustain this after the ARPA funds run out?
No. I mean, it would have to be budgeted for once the ARPA funds, once the expenditures period of the American Rescue Plan is over, then it would have to be something that's budgeted through the annual process.
And we have no numbers on any of that?
Well, that's the purpose of my needing to go out to start exploring available locations, because we will look for something that's approximately 2,000, 2,500 square feet to initiate this, but it depends on the exact property and what the landlord is seeking in terms of rent. And then there's tenant improvements and that type of stuff. Once I identified a property, I would hope next month to be able to come to you with a specific budget so that you know exactly what we're dealing with in terms of cost.
Okay, anyone have?
Hello, okay. So you're not asking for funding at this time. You're asking to be able to go out and look to see what you can find to bring back to us to talk to us about funding.
That's exactly right.
Okay, then I'm okay with that.
Anyone else have any issues with it? Commissioner Davis? Okay, thank you. Next, we have the consent agenda. Do we have any polls?
No polls, just make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, it forces you to slow down just a little. We be like, go, go, go.
Yeah.
I guess the all in favor. Anyone opposed? Yeah, do that. All right. Next, we have discussion and possible action. The patch master plan is something that I have on this agenda. I'll try to be brief as possible. I did a walkthrough of the patch with Executive Director Chen along with the city manager, and we discussed, how important the patch is to the community and its functions. However, it is very underutilized, and we had a lot of great ideas to try and attract people to the patch. Maybe a sunflower garden, maybe some tables out there, something to really make it a venue space. I have a lot of notes down here to where I really think that I know the patch is a small area of land. However, I do think that it's important that we give proper patch planning, and I don't think we have really done that to this moment. One of the concerns of the patch is the ability to produce enough food to support the market and the CSA. So we have had grants, you know, upwards for hundreds of thousands of dollars, and we have an aging, we have a very limited patch staff that really relies heavily on, you know, volunteerism from different programs and entities. But I think if we could properly like staff the patch, if we can have like a crowd pleaser restroom, people would want to come and be a part of the things that are happening at the patch, maybe even rent it out. And the patch definitely needs an air conditioned type storage, which I've also been talking to Mr. Chen about. I also spoke with the city manager about paving the parking lot. That's an ADA liability in itself. And so the city manager has agreed to be able to fund someone to kind of put together a master plan of what we all want, because you know the areas around the patch are growing, and we don't want to lose the patch, but we want to make it a place to where it's inviting for people to come to, and we need to provide contractors and vendors with insurance so they can take our patch truck out and kind of do workshops in Broward County and the communities. And so what I am seeking is approval to be able to, for Mr. Chen to work with the city manager to get a consultant to come in and kind of do a patch master plan, or to master plan that area out, maybe have a walkway or, you know, a walking path and other amenities to be able to really give to the community. Commissioner Davis? Board Member Davis?
Thank you. I do think the patch has a lot of potential. I appreciated their presentation and their presence at the Art and Seafood Festival. I just think they do not have, they don't have the recognition, and it's not, you know, it's not out in the public enough what we could do with it. So to really give it the attention that it needs, to really be able to elevate it. I volunteered there. I volunteered there with Hands on Broward, and it's one of the communities when they go out from Earth to Table and they bring the kids out and they teach them. So it really has a lot of potential. So I am in favor of exploring a master plan for the patch. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Commissioner Llewellyn?
I'm fine with exploring some things with it. I have some concerns though overall because I know one of the things, I mean, I've been approached about it as well with regard to trying to sell more of the produce and you know, find ways to commercialize some of it. And there's some issues there that are going to keep it from being able to do that. And I've had conversations with people at the patch about those issues. So, I mean, I don't have any problem with looking at some ways to enhance it and find ways to make it better. You know, as long as we're open to everything and just kind of looking at any potential ways to either improve it or figure out different things that can be done. That's all.
Thank you. Commissioner Ottman?
Oh, no, I canceled mine. You have 3 now, right?
Yes. I just thought I didn't know if you pressed the button on mistake. You know, we're all just learning this system together. All right, Mr. Chen, if you could work with the city manager. City manager, are you there? I see you, but.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Awesome.
Can you see me?
So we have, I can't see you. I see your picture. So we have consensus to work with you and Mr. Chen to be able to get a consultant and bring in someone to really master plan the patch and see what the opportunities that exist in the area.
Absolutely. And what we'll do is we'll come up with some dates, because your involvement is critical, very much like the involvement of the strategic master plan on a smaller scale. So Mike and I will work together and get the consultant and look at some dates for you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
In the next,
If
yes,
I may.
I'm sorry.
I have some late breaking news, so it was not on my admin report, but I received a certified letter from the Florida Department of Agriculture just today that in fact our grant application for a program at the patch was approved for funding. The problem is they run out of funding. And so they have advised me that when they replenish the fund, our application did in fact qualify.
How much money was it?
We asked for $50,000. We'll have to see how long it takes them to replenish the fund and where we'll be when that comes. But
okay.
It wasn't on your report because I literally just got the letter today.
Okay. Thank you. Up next are the CRA owned property at on Northwest 3rd Terrace, Mr. Chan.
Thank you very much. Just to be really brief on this, this is a property that has been vacant since 2008. It initially started because of a foreclosure. It looks like it was right in the real estate downturn that started 2008, 2009. It has been vacant since 2008. As far as I can tell, it's probably been boarded up for most of that time. It is deteriorating, and it's a shame for it to sit there and deteriorate like it is. At this point, I've included information. I have conducted an engineering study on it. That study is part of your report. I have run an appraisal for its current value versus what we think its repaired future value might be. The short of it is, this property needs extensive repairs, but it's still a solid property and can be recovered. Estimates on the repairs are somewhere between $130,000 to $200,000. Under any circumstance, in terms of a market rate residential piece, this is upside down. It will not be recovered in terms of a market rate property. I am recommending that we put this out for an RFP for a mandated low-income affordable housing project.
What's the AMI on that?
That's 80% AMI.
AMI. Any thoughts? I don't have an issue with it. Anyone have an issue? Fine. We're all okay with that.
Thank you very much.
While we're talking about this, or maybe I could talk about it, and we could talk about it right now. I also had a conversation regarding the ARPA funds and with the city manager and the finance director. And we put some monies aside so we can go towards the affordable housing. So we can do this at-home Dania Beach townhome type project. Is there any way that we can get together or you can get together with the city manager and finance to see how much funding we would need to be able to do those townhomes at 80% AMI? You know which properties I'm discussing, the ones just north of True Leaf by the auto repair shop, the ones we were talking about?
The short answer is yes. I think that I've got a very good collaborative relationship with the city manager as well as the finance director, and we will be happy to explore how the use of ARPA funds can enable the development of the type of housing that's needed here.
Okay, great. Thank you. Now we are on to board member comments. Board Member Davis.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to make a couple of comments. First, I wanted to congratulate the CRA, Michael Chin, Kathleen Weeks, and Keisha for doing such an amazing job during the Art and Seafood Festival. We were able to go for both days, very well attended. The energy was high. It was the first time in 2 years. So it was just really a wonderful experience to have the community back, and people were very, very, very excited. And you can tell how well the Art and Seafood Festival was missed. So congratulations and kudos to all Parks and Rec, everybody who worked to make that event a success. The other event I wanted to mention was the Rebuilding Together. I believe that we did on Saturday was absolutely phenomenal. I participated with United Way and Rebuilding Together way back in 2018. And so I had met Robin then, and really to bring so many people together to rebuild and beautify our city with people who really needed it was just a great experience. And I look forward, and I really think that we should invite more of our community out and kind of recruit that and put it out more in the public to have more volunteers the next time, because it was really such a great community event where we really made a difference in our city. So thank you very much. The Vice Mayor wants me to mention the Earth Day. Of the beach cleanup. Well, yes, we will. I'm going to mention it. I'll mention it during the CRA, but April 22nd, please mark your calendars from 5 to 7 p.m. We are going to have Earth Day is everyday event, and we are looking forward to a wonderful community event where you can help clean our beach. We're going to have music, food, fun, and we're going to unveil a mural. So please come out to that event. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Llewellyn.
Thank you. I also went to the Arts and Seafood Festival both days. I know Commissioner Davis and I were hanging out till the very end as long as we could on the last day. And it was very well attended. And thank goodness the rain held out, because that was my biggest fear. I really thought it was going to hit, but it didn't. And it was a beautiful day. Well, a little hot, but beautiful days both days. And nice mix of events or music that was played, nice mix of vendors, nice mix of art. We got to go around and hand out the ribbons like we have in the past, which was always a lot of fun. So it was good to see everybody. People were really happy to be out amongst each other and just having a really good time. And I know our very own Maxine was there and was having a blast, which was great. I was glad to see that. Also, Danny After Dark this weekend was pretty good. Again, weather was beautiful. It cooled off really nicely, and it was nice to see so many people out. And I've noticed there's definitely some new vendors, like some different kinds of things that are being sold now, which it makes it a little more interesting. So it's not just the same old thing that you see every month. Anyway, so like these little guitars that they make that are just the coolest things in the world. But anyway, so there's all kinds of stuff there now. So it's an interesting event, and it's a nice variety of music each week or each month. It's different, which is good. Oh, one more thing I wanted to mention. Happy birthday, Mike. It's Michael Chen's birthday. So anyway, with that, that's all I have. Thank you.
Board Member Ottman.
Do I have to press the button? Guess not. I don't got much. I finally was able to make it out to our Dania After Dark, and I was with a non Dania Beach person, and they were very impressed with the music and with the vibe and with the crowd, even though there was so much going on this weekend. So it was really nice. It was really nice to see everyone there, and you know, the event seemed just as good as it ever was. So I was glad that it didn't suffer too much. And that's it. Happy birthday, Mike.
Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mayor. Chair, I'd just like to compliment, the hard workers that the CRA put out on the Seafood Festival. It was a really good time, and I know you had a lot of special workers out there, but I'm sure that everybody continue to help out, work hard, and I'm sure Park and Recreation's had a lot of good things to do too. So I just want to thank you guys for allowing the city to have that. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And I know I missed a lot of the fun this past weekend, but I heard great things. I heard great things about the Art and Seafood Festival, and I had so many people calling me, hoping that I was out there for Dania After Dark. And so kudos to the team. I know they're probably exhausted. I do think that they did a phenomenal job with the time giving and the expectations that have been given. I was able to attend a Spirit charitable event, and had a lot of great fun there. It was in a hangar, airplane hangar, and I know that they will be contributing, I think, around $20,000 to the patch. And so I'm very excited to be partnering with them and to be able to foster relationships that demand more from our businesses that are coming into our city to do business. And with that, meeting is adjourned. Thank you all. See you soon.